It was an electrifying start from Newcastle United and their leading marksman Alexander Isak, who became just the fourth Newcastle player to score in 6 consecutive Premier League games. And Alexander, I'm very pleased to say he joins us live now. Congratulations, Alexander. How does it feel to have won a league game at Old Trafford for the first time in your career?
Thank you. No, it feels great. Yeah, we haven't won in a long time here, and I think it was a great performance for us and a perfect way to end this year.
What do you think was key to it, Alexander? We've spoken in here about the huge difference between the two sides in the first stages of the game, really the first half an hour.
I think, focusing on us, I think our intensity was really good. We started off the game really well. We pressed high, regains and counter-attacks. So I think that was the challenge, to have the same intensity here as we do when we play at home. And I think especially the first half was really good, and it paid off as well with 2 goals, and we could have scored more.
Alexander, in the past, Newcastle have had a poor record away at Manchester United, but was the huge confidence and belief you just mentioned about the fact that you pressed high, you were on the front foot, you're really confident going into the game?
I think we've been much better lately, even playing away from home. The challenge the whole season has always been to play with the same intensity, home and away. And I think we've done that in the last weeks. So I think we've been consistent in our performance, both home and away, which is great to see.
It seemed that crosses caused Manchester United a lot of problems, Alexander. We thought that might happen from corners, from set pieces, but it actually happened tonight from open play. When you're up against a 3-man defensive unit, what do you think about? What's your mindset in trying to find that space when the ball does come in?
I think it's about just trying to be in a good position. Obviously, it's difficult with Maguire marking you in the box, but I got a goal early. After that, I was a bit more marked for the rest of the game, which probably opened up for the second goal for Joe Linton when there was more focus on me. And so yeah, we spoke about it to enter the box with more men.
Alexander, I'm sure you know the history of Newcastle United and the famous number 9s or strikers of the past. The way you're going and the goals that you've got in this calendar year, you're right up there with the best of them. Are you aware sort of what company you're in at the moment?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit and I've heard. No, I've had a good year, and I'm really happy with how things are going for me and for the team as well now in the last week. So. Yeah, I just have to keep going into the new year, just playing the same.
Well, at the way that you're going, Alexander, if the team can continue this kind of form, it is back towards the Champions League. How important is it to you, as one of Europe's top strikers, to be playing Champions League football every season?
No, I think it's not just me. I think the whole team, we are very ambitious. We played the Champions League last season, so it's in all of our interest to get back there. But yeah, it's a long way till the season ends. So I don't think we should be looking too much at the table. But I think the ambition of the team is to get out there in Europe again, of course. So yeah, we have to just keep the same level, stay focused, and take one game at a time, and just keep going in the same direction.
I don't know if you read the papers, Alexander, but there was a few yesterday saying that the club had put a £150 million price tag on your head. What's your reaction when you see stories like that?
No, it doesn't really faze me too much. I think that's more for you guys and for fans to talk about. I'm in the middle of a season, and I think it's going really well for me and the team. So all my focus are here, and I'm really happy with how things are going. So all my focus is on the pitch.
Alexander, I absolutely adore you. I think you're a fantastic player, and if I had 150 million, I'd pay it to have you at any club. But I just mentioned before you came into the interview that I think right now you're playing as well as any striker in Europe. I mean, who are the other strikers out there who you watch, you look at around Europe, who really impress you and you feel like you're sort of in that category right now?
It's difficult to say. I mean, there's many great strikers. I try to watch football and take different things out of different players. I want to be very mobile in my game. I want to be able to do everything. I think, for example, today, scoring headers. I've scored many more this season, which usually isn't my type of game. But I want to be a threat in every part of the game and every part of the pitch. So I look at football and just try to take small things from everything.
Well, we've really enjoyed talking to you, Alexander, and the Newcastle fans, well, not just the Newcastle fans, everybody is really enjoying watching you play football as well right now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for talking to us. Well done to Alexander Isak. What is it, Jamie, that makes him so special and that makes you want to pay 150 million quid for him?
I mean, he's not just a goal scorer. You're seeing some of his touches, and I can never forget the first time I saw him play live. I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago at Anfield. Very early on in the season, he scored a goal. He ran through, and the thing about him is, when he's got a chance to score or he's got a finish, he's one of those strikers you never expect him to miss. He's always got that coolness in front of goal, but
I think that was the one he did, wasn't it? Yeah. Which was a strange one.
But when he's in possession, sometimes with strikers, they can be a little bit sloppy or a little bit loose in possession. When you see him, he's got the ball in tight. I mean, look at that for a finish. I mean, it was similar to that. Was the type of sort of finish I saw at Anfield the first time I saw him live. He just whipped it into the roof of the net. But it's things like this. When he's on the move, he's moving with the ball. He's not just standing in the box, waiting for the ball. He can play as the target man. He can score goals. He can make runs in behind. I actually think he could almost play as a number 10. He could probably almost play with another striker because he's got the ability to actually drop in and pick the ball up, and he's just been a sensation. And there's been a lot of great signings, we should say, that under Eddie Howe, who they've brought in. You look at Lewis Hall right now as well, you look at Livramento as well, full-backs like that. But he has been, for me, you asked me, is he the best striker in the Premier League right now? And he is. I don't think it's actually close right now. I think he's the real standout.
He seemed surprised, the fact that he got all that space, particularly with the first goal from Manchester United, before they worked out what was going on.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have a real good look at this goal, and I can't change my opinion than what I had at half-time, that the situation you get in now is so, OK, we said before the game, and we said in Ruben Amorim's first game, the problem with that system is these spaces. Now, either side of the central midfield players, so that's always going to be a problem, and Ruben Amorim will know that. Now, if those two players in there were Roy Keane and Brian Robson at their absolute best, at times it'd still be a problem for them, because that's the one drawback of the system. Every system has a slight problem that you think you can sort of get at them. But what did the manager think before the game was going to happen there? How was that never going to be a problem?
Well, because we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about this earlier, Jamie, in terms of the system. And I asked you a direct question earlier on today about what you need, what the requirements to play in this Ruben Amorim system. And the first thing that you said in that centre midfield, you need legs.
Because you've got to cover so much ground. That's just a negative. You have bodies in other areas. So I'm thinking, if you're Ruben Amorim, you're thinking, OK, they've got 3 in there, we've got 2. Now, how can I help them? He comes in here and maybe Xerxes drops in there. But don't forget, this is very early in the game. So if that was the plan from the manager, I think these players would have done that. But it almost looks like they're thinking, because they're on the same line as the centre forward, that maybe our job is to go there. Well, OK, if that's the job of your front 3 or the sort of wide attacking players, well, that means then that these have to jump. Your 2 centre-backs have to come in there. We've seen Dan Burn doing it. Dan Burn, I mean, he's a good centre-back, but, he hasn't got a lot of pace. He's doing a great job for Newcastle. But if you were playing against Dan Burn, you think you'd have a great chance at maybe causing a problem at times in behind him. But at least he was brave and being on the front foot. What are these doing? De Ligt, Martinez, a World Cup winner. Be brave, have courage, jump. Help your 2 central midfield players. So for me, that is on the manager. I've got no criticism at all with Eriksen or Casemiro. That is the manager's fault. There was no way that plan could have worked in any way, shape or form. Now, we're just running on again now, and I just want to stop and I just take it back again, and I go back to a little bit of courage. Now, don't forget, De Ligt and Martinez have not got any man to pick up. Just keep an eye on them. Don't watch the ball, just watch them. They're going back. So Harry Maguire is actually ahead of them here. They haven't got a player, but they still go back. Looking after themselves, I'll drop off, but you're actually killing your central midfield players in there. So what was the plan from the manager? So for me, this goal is all on the manager and his setup. Yes, we know these players can do better. They're not great. We've criticised them, I don't know for how long, 2 or 3 years, these set of players, and that is unbelievable. That man finds himself in there. Now, I just want to stop it now. Now, we spoke about, again, these players not jumping and not showing courage. So you've basically got a 5v2 there with the 2 central midfield players. I actually felt sorry for them in there. 2 great players of the past who've had great careers, but there's no way in the world they should be playing for Manchester United. Even if you were playing the narrowest midfield you've ever seen in your life anyway, they still should not be playing in that position for United. But again, the 3 centre-backs, not with anyone. And then the ball comes over. Now, as it comes wide, now, I just want to stop this now. So we just, as it comes in, we just take it back. Now, I want to speak about Maguire and Martinez. So Harry Maguire is in the centre. We can see that. He's there. Okay, we can see where he's looking. And what he will be thinking about is, I think it's Jacob Murphy making a run just inside him. Now, I go further back and look at Martinez at the back post. Now, I've been there as a defender. He can't see the ball, okay? And that can happen. And it's a little bit of a panic as a defender. So you're at the back post, the cross is coming in, but you can't see it, okay?
So what do you do?
Well, what you don't do is do what he does. Now, you're the attacker. The ball's coming in here on that left foot. So if I can't see the ball, I'm behind you. Yeah. I can't see the ball. Yeah. What you try and do is you try and cheat and see, maybe I go a bit lower, can I see it? But what you do is you try and see a goal side. You don't try and see the ball goal that side.
Yeah.
You go this side.
Because you step out of position
exactly.
straight away.
So at least if I can't see it or the cross is already coming, I'm here and the goal's there. Don't worry, I'm not getting too disappointed with this. I'm enjoying it. But just keep an eye on Martinez, where he looks now. As this ball comes in, stop.
So
he's now looking this side. You can't look that side. He has to be looking that side. So I've been there as a defender where you can't see the ball and you panic a little bit and you try and see it somewhere. You don't do that because of that. And we see it better from this side again. You see the spaces this happens on. But this shouldn't happen with 3 at the back. I mean, the whole point of playing 3 at the back is at times the ball will come into the box. We've got 3 defenders. They're not even defending 2 strikers. They're defending 1. It was shocking. I mean, it couldn't get any worse, that goal. But as I go back to, a lot of that for me is the setup from the manager.
Which impacted the second goal as well, would you say?
I mean, before we play this clip, I mean, just look at this. The size of that pitch. Again, I go back to, he thinks he's pressing there. He must do. He's pressing there. And then how is that ever not going to be a problem? In your team meeting before the game, and you're thinking about how you're going to play, how would that not have happened on that pitch tonight? And then you've got Casemiro and Eriksen. Again, feel sorry for them. Bruno Guimaraes just leaves him there. Look at Tonali, the space he's got now. The space Trippier's got. But, OK, the space Trippier's got, that happens against this system at times when you're in the back 5. And again, it's another cross. I mean, let's just take it back there. As Anthony Gordon's shaping for that cross, what have we got here now? We've got... What is that? So what have we got there? 5v2?
5v2. I was watching Harry Maguire, who's making sure that Isak is not getting away from him this time.
Well, yeah, he was. And he knew he'd probably been done a little bit on the first goal. And you just watch Harry Maguire now as this cross comes in. But again, I go to Martinez. He can see Joe Linton. I know Joe Linton's bigger than him. But he can see him. And I'm expecting this guy to be using his body, be aggressive. Martinez, for me, when he first came in, I was very strong on the fact that I thought he was too small to play centre-back in a back 4 in the Premier League. And you know what? He proved me wrong to a certain extent in that it didn't happen too often. And he actually played really well under Erik ten Hag. But I actually thought a perfect system would be a back 3, where he'd have the security of two bigger players here, and he could come out with the ball on his left foot, he looks worse in a back three, or he certainly looks worse under Ruben Amorim. And he's just got to be more aggressive. I mean, there's space on the pitch. Listen, that's going to happen. Gary mentions that all the time about, you know, at Old Trafford. It is a big pitch. I mean, if you Casemiro and Eriksen running back, and again, I just keep looking at Martinez. I wasn't the biggest of centre-backs, by the way. And at times you can get done and you worry about it going into games, about someone overpowering you in the air. Now, there was talk of it being handball. I think it's one of them that can probably go either way. So I'm sure maybe the Manchester United manager may.
Given on the pitch, so it's less likely that it's going to get ruled out, unless they can find enough evidence. And VAR didn't feel able to provide the evidence to get it chalked off, so that made it 2-0. What about Joe Linton's view of that incident? We can hear what he has to say. He's been talking to David Craig.
Well done. One or two people were asking in recent weeks, were Newcastle the real deal? Have you proved you are with that performance here at Old Trafford tonight?
Nah, not yet. I think it's still a long way to go, but the team is improved. Not a good performance away from home today with the 3 points, 2 goals, clean sheet. Great mentality from the boys from the start to finish to defend a goal and score 2 goals and win the game.
A few weeks ago, things weren't going your way and people were asking questions. What's fundamentally changed as a group? What are the differences that have led to this run of form?
I think not many things changed. We knew we were not playing in the way we want to play, the intensity, the quality, scoring goals. We just keep working hard every day on the training pitch with good mentality, positivity, and then when we start to win, score goals, the confidence is back, and it's great to see everyone is playing amazing at the moment, and we just have to keep going game by game.
You came here and in the first 20 minutes you really imposed yourself on Manchester United on their own home ground. What does that tell us about the belief?
It's the belief is high. We believe in ourselves. We work hard every day to when the games come in to play in the best way possible. I think we start really well. I think after the 2 goals we could score more. Great chance, but we didn't score, and then we lose a little bit of control. But at the end, the most important was the 3 points and job done.
We'll come to your goal in a second, but Alexander Isak, how good is he?
He's amazing. It's so good to have him, to play alongside him, because he's one of the best strikers in the world right now. And I hope he continue scoring goals, play amazing, because it's good for us.
VAR had a look at your goal. What was your point of view? No doubts in your mind that it was a goal?
Yes, I think I had the ball, and I think you got it. It was allowed, and yes, very happy to score 1 more goal in the season and help the team win.
You're up to 5th tonight. 2 years ago, this team were in the Champions League. Is this a better team, better equipped to make it to the Champions League?
Don't know, the time will tell, but we are enjoying the football right now. With confidence, but we have to be humble, keep our feet on the ground, because it's a long way to go, and just keep going, keep believing, and do our best every game.
Fair cop, Your Honour, I think was the response. I'm not sure if the smile was a giveaway. That is the latest IFAB laws, and that shows you what is and isn't a handball. The armpit, the bottom of the armpit being the key. So the green area is not a handball, and the red area is a handball. So I suppose you can make your own mind up. As I say, given on the pitch, and therefore the VAR decided there wasn't enough evidence to have that chalked off. That's what December looks like for Manchester United. 6 defeats in a calendar month for the first time since September 1930. Let's hear from Ruben Amorim now. He's with our reporter David Craig.
Ruben, another disappointing result, another disappointing night for you and Manchester United. How do you reflect on this game, particularly the opening 20 minutes tonight here?
It was really hard on us. They are a better team and they start very, very strong. And when we suffer a goal, like we suffered in the other games, it's really hard on the moment to turn around. First of all, because of all the losses that we had before, and especially we don't have the base, the work behind the positioning and the way we play to cope with the difficult moments. Because when you have that work, you can hold to something and to cope with the different moments of the game. We don't have that, so the players suffer a lot on the pitch, and it was really hard on us. Like I said, Newcastle is a better team.
Clearly, as a head coach, when you sit and do the planning for this game, you pick a team that you think can compete and will win for you this evening. On reflection, did you get your selection right against this Newcastle United team tonight?
That is really easy when the game started and then finished to people make an evaluation. I have to do it before. I'm the only guy that have to do it before and to try to understand the opponent in the way we play. Josh is a player of, you are talking about Josh. Josh is a player of Manchester United. We want more power sometimes in front. We are suffering always the first goal in set pieces. So today we had more guys for set pieces. So we are trying to cope with every problem in the team. But sometimes we have a lot of problems, and sometimes you push one side, and the other side is open. So it's really clear that today Newcastle was a better team.
With regards to Josh, it felt like a tough moment for him. Was it a tough decision for you to withdraw a player like that who's been brought in by people above you at a big price tag? How hard is that to make that decision?
Yeah, you have to think about the team and also sometimes about the player, because the player is suffering. I was there a few years ago, and I know that he wants, because I saw it during the week, and that is the most important thing, and he's suffering during the game. I felt the team was suffering, need another midfielder to have more ball, and then we start to have more ball with Kobe Mainu, but it was really tough on me to do that, and I talked with Josh about that, because it's important to express the message, but I'm always thinking about the team, and in that moment was important for the team to Josh go out.
You've been a player yourself. We saw him go down the tunnel straight away. He did come back after a short while. Can you understand that frustration, perhaps embarrassment from his point of view?
Yeah, it's important to know the players, and I know that Josh is a really good guy. And when he went to the tunnel, sometimes there is some guys, and I can understand that he's in a bad way, he's in a good way, because he's a really good lad. So you'll have the support, and you will prepare the next game. It's some moments, and you have some examples like Harry Maguire that had some tough moments, but that is life in every professional. So we will support Josh and continue, because like I said, Newcastle were a better team. Was not better than Josh, was better than Manchester United.
It was interesting hearing you talk to my colleague Gary Neville pre-game. You said, I can't change. If I change, it finishes me as a coach. But if you continue not to change, Ruben, and the results continue, does there come a point where you have to consider change?
Maybe, or you continue with your idea, and they have to change the coach. It's a choice that everybody makes in football.
Would you go that far? Would you?
Yes. If I feel it's the best thing for the team, or for to pass my message, I will go forward easily.
Sorry, just so we're being clear there, I'm saying not you would go and leave the club, but you would go that far, you wouldn't sacrifice your principles.
You cannot, like I said, you cannot go back. We have to continue to push. Remember, we had like four trainings all together, so that is important. I know what you guys are trying to reach, but it's really clear. I was here because of my idea, and I will continue to do my idea until the end.
Do you sense that you're being drawn into a relegation battle, though, just 7 points above the bottom three?
That is really clear, and we have to fight. It's a really difficult moment, one of more difficult moments in the history of Manchester United, and we have to address it with honesty. And to be clear with that, we have to fight next game.
But whatever happens, no change in tactics.
In every game, I change something tactical. So you focus on the 3 defenders, you can focus on that. I change for every game, and you can see it.
And you believe that this will get you out, and this will bear results.
Yeah. If I didn't believe, I will change, because I'm not stubborn. I believe in something, and I'm really stick on that.
Ruben, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. Ruben Amorim is not for changing, as he said to Gary before the game, and Gary rejoins us now. What did you make of that interview, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, he was pushed hard there, wasn't he? And absolutely resolute that he won't change, but he must be suffering deep inside. I'm worried as well. I mean, it is really grim. That first half an hour tonight was hard to watch as a United fan. I think that the thing is, I think we knew a lot of what we actually saw on the pitch was going to happen. I mean, Casemiro and Eriksen in midfield. Jamie Carragher had done a piece in the studio about Mazraoui and Dalot playing wing backs and being more defensive, and that wouldn't lead to goals, which is exactly what happened. I asked Ruben Amorim before the game at the idea of Xerxes in that sort of left pocket. That's not a left pocket that you stay in. That's a left pocket that means that you have to go and pick up the right back for Newcastle when he goes forward. That's a left pocket that means you have to make runs through. So it's not really, and when he said that he wasn't really a number 9, and that's where he saw him playing, I was surprised. I didn't see any balance in the team selection. So I think that whilst I was a little nervous about Manchester United doing well in this game tonight, before I saw the team sheet, once I saw the team sheet, I was pretty sure that it would be a struggle, and I think a lot of what we saw, we expected. It was a grim night.
Do you think Eriksen and Casemiro can start together in midfield again, Gary?
No. I mean, they may have to if there's lots of injuries. But look, we've all been there. We've all been there as football players, where you get into your 30s and the last thing you want in your 30s is another player alongside you in your 30s. If I was right back playing for Manchester United at the age of 33, I didn't want a 33-year-old right-sided winger in front of me. I wanted someone who was massively energetic, youthful, quick, to compensate for the things that I don't have anymore. And the last thing that Eriksen wants to see alongside him is someone that's basically got a lack of energy. He wants to see someone who can compensate for the things that he doesn't have, and vice versa with Casemiro. It's not that they're not being great players. It's not that they still can't function in a team in some way. There are players that play for other clubs at the very top who haven't got legs, but they've got people around them who can basically cover for the fact they haven't got legs. They can't play them both together as a 2 in midfield with those massive gaps that exist. And Old Trafford always feels very big to cover the ground anyway.
Gary, we've been very critical of Manchester United in probably the last 18 months under Erik ten Hag, and how open they were and conceding sort of 20, 30 shots a game. Are Manchester United actually worse right now under Ruben Amorim with the 3-4-3 system?
I mean, there's no doubt it's deteriorated performances and results in this last few weeks. They're finding it very difficult, some of the players, with the system. They're finding it very difficult with the confidence. And the concern is that they're getting dragged into a fight down there near the bottom. But they are at this moment in time. You keep thinking they're going to hit a low point. I mean, I sent through that team this morning of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last game in charge. And you think that, they're playing against Watford a few years ago, and you're thinking that Manchester United team, to be fair, is not good enough. We all accepted at the time it wasn't good enough. But that was David De Gea in net, who's a better goalkeeper than the one that Manchester United have currently got. It was Lindelof, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka and Shaw, which is a better defensive line than the one that Manchester United have currently got. It was Matic and McTominay in midfield, which is not brilliant, but it's better than Casemiro and Eriksen. And it was Sancho, Rashford, Bruno and Ronaldo up front, which is a better forward line than the one that's currently there. So that's the concerning thing. When you feel that you've got to a point whereby the team can't get any worse, and then you get further investment into the sort of the tune of 450, 500 million, and you see that this current team that's played today and at Wolves, I think that they've got a lot to do, and that is being very, very kind, because I don't think this group of players that are playing at this moment in time are of the quality that the ones that Ten Hag has had, Ole's had, Jose Mourinho's had, or Louis van Gaal. They weren't good enough for Manchester United in those periods, but they were better teams and better squads than the one that currently is in this club.
Well, Gary, the criticism of Manchester United from yourself, as you know Manchester United better than any of us, was that those managers did not have people above them, a sporting director, a structure in the club. We've now had that at Manchester United probably the last 12 months, and it's actually gone worse. I mean, how do you explain that?
Yeah, I don't think it's been for 12 months. I mean, there's no doubt the Dan Ashworth situation has gone badly wrong. I mean, I like Dan a lot. He's brought in, he's someone who's very stable, very calm, has actually, to be fair, helped mould this current sort of Newcastle project that we're seeing before our eyes. Obviously, Eddie Howe was there before, but the type of signings that they made when the Saudi Arabian owners came in, we all expected it to be a bit of an extravaganza and sort of splashing the cash, but they've signed some very solid characters. So I was quite enthused when Dan Ashworth came into the club that there would be someone there to say no, that would know not to waste money. Obviously, then you have Jason Wilcox, who's highly thought of, Omar Barada, who was well thought of at Manchester City. You know, they've only been in, to be fair to them, 5 or 6 months. Obviously, Dan Ashworth's now gone, which is, like I say, that's gone badly wrong. But it's only been 5 or 6 months, and it's obviously, I mean, they'll be thinking it's going backwards to go forwards. They're obviously making huge changes on the pitch, they're making huge changes in the football department, they're making huge changes off the pitch as well. And there is some real pain, and there are some real unpopular decisions that are being made, some of which I don't agree with myself at all. But the reality of it is, decisions are being made. I mean, for about 8 years, there was nothing happening. There was one guy there at the top that was, to be fair, being sort of supported by the Glazer family, and he just continued to make the same mistake after mistake. At least there are things happening, whether you agree with them or not. But there are, I mean, it's concerning. It can be nothing other than concerning at what's happening at this moment in time, because what's happening on the pitch is really desperate. I mean, that first half an hour tonight, I mean, I know there's been some bad moments in the last 10 years, but that was pretty low.
But Gary, given what happened to Dan Ashworth, who you just referenced, who we thought was going to be there for a long time, and then this sort of snap decision seemed to come out of nowhere, and suddenly he was gone. Is there any doubt in your mind that if it did get worse here for Ruben Amorim, and you know he's talking about it himself, they're in a relegation battle, you know, in his words, if it did get worse, do you think they would stick with him whatever happened this season?
I mean, whatever happened, I mean, probably not. But I mean, they're going to support him, aren't they? I mean, their mindset is such now that they're going to dig in, support the manager, get him through maybe a transfer window in January. I'm not sure there's that much money to spend in January because they're on the edge of FFP. But then obviously get to the summer, and there's going to have to be a huge overhaul again. And like you say, I mean, look, I'll throw it back to yourselves. I mean, Carragher, where did you have Manchester United? I had them in the top 4, obviously.
We're going to get to that in about 10 minutes.
Gary, can I just ask you, you know, talk about a January window. If there was a little bit of money they could find, where would you be spending it right now? What is going to help this team in the short term?
Definitely the positions that, I mean, look, you could say centre forward, let's get a world-class centre forward, let's get Isak in, but that's never going to happen. I think if you were starting, you'd have to start with the fundamentals of this system, which is the wing-backs. They hold it together. If you don't have the wing-backs functioning up and down that are able to attack and defend equally as good, and there aren't many of those around, by the way, because there aren't many teams that play wing-back, then you're going to struggle. So you need 2 quite unique players in those wide areas, and I think that will be the starting point. And that's nothing against Mazraoui or Dalot. I think they're very willing and doing the job the very best that they can. But they're, to me, the areas that I would start in this system.
Gary, stay where you are, because we are very excited to see where you've got Manchester United at the end
Sorry,
of this
can
season.
I finish, Dave? Sorry, let me finish. Where did Carragher have Manchester United at the start of the season in his predictions? Was it 5th?
I think...
Well, it definitely wasn't above Liverpool.
Listen, we'll tease that, Gary.
That.
We'll tease it, Gary.
You had them 5th, so not even you expected them to be this bad.
Just keep talking.
Yeah, he's on some run. He must feel like every time he plays, he's going to score at the moment.
Yeah, that's the lovely feeling you get when you're a centre forward. We looked at him before the game, didn't we? We looked at the array of goals that he scores. It can be with anything, you know, his head, his left foot, his right foot. He's a good finisher, good in the air. Another header today. He's top class in every way. I love he's just class. He uses class, the way he goes into certain positions. I love some of his runs, the way he stays on side. This is his goal. He was right. The ball did take a deflection, and that probably did it for Manchester United, because if that ball comes in flat, Phil, it's much easier to defend.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't get a touch, I think Harry's in the right position to defend the ball. And yeah, it took a wicked deflection, and unfortunately, it's in the back, for United point of view, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, as you see, always getting into that 6-yard box, Steve. He knows where the goal is. He knows where most goals are scored. And
I think it's the timing of his movement. Like he manages to stay on side. He manages to time it just at the right time, where he can get a head on it or get a touch with a volley or a half volley. He does it really well and really effective as well.
And Harry Maguire there saying, "I've got the runner." If my lip reading skills are on blob, and he did have the runner, but obviously Isak was just ghosting in behind. So it was an unfortunate deflection, but still the ball's landing in your 6-yard box. You've got 3 centre-halves and 2 wing-backs. You should have enough bodies to head that out.
Yeah, from a central defender's point of view?
Yeah, both goals are avoidable, I think. I think even the build-up before the goal, very easy, just one switch of play. No real great pressure on the ball. I mean, wide players these days, I feel they don't need much of a... They only need half a yard to stick the ball in, so you've got to get tighter, force him wider. Not good enough from United's point of view, and a simple header for Isak.
And just on him, 25 goals in this calendar year in the Premier League. That's more than Salah, more than Haaland, only bettered by Cole Palmer.
Yeah, he's seriously good. Newcastle have done so well to get him, and he won't.
Develop him,
yeah. And obviously to feed him as well. You know, Newcastle have got some good players that are in attacking positions that they get the ball to and play to his strengths. And of course, he won't be on the market. I mean, he'd be one of the most sought-after players. But if he was, then I'd say that only Manchester City probably wouldn't or couldn't do with him. I mean, Erling Haaland is that number 9, isn't he? But apart from that, he would walk into any team in the Premier League in that position.
Yeah, Joe Linton got the second goal. And as you say, again, from a United point of view, they'll be disappointed with the build-up and the way the ball came into the box again.
Yeah, just too easy to play through. Not enough pressure on the ball. You see the wide area here. He just chops back, and there's no real pressure to go and get up to the ball. It's a simple ball in, and Lisandro Martinez has got caught underneath the ball a little bit, and he's just... Yeah, it's a powering header. Really difficult to stop when he gets a run on you, but he's got to do better. Got to stop the cross coming in first and foremost, and got to be stronger in the box. And 2 really simple goals, 2 very same goals. And like I said, Man United give themselves a mountain to climb in the second half.
Harry Maguire here, I mean, he goes and sticks on Isak, doesn't he? Obviously, Isak scored the first goal, a similar goal to that. Is there anything in that where he's sort of, you could accuse him of the first goal, but then he's almost like, well, I've got my man, I'm not moving from my man this time. And all of a sudden, because he says, I was getting the runner on the first one. Well, actually, if he's watching the runner on this one, he probably heads it out. But this time, he almost glues himself to Isak. Just have a look at this, Phil. What do you think here? I mean, he just goes and glues himself. But if he goes with the runner, he'll have a chance of saving it.
If he actually stays in his position there, rather than engaging with Isak, he probably heads the ball away. But as a defender, you always get attracted to the man, and sometimes, listen, you've got to stop the cross. He's 2 yards off him. This cross has come in. Maybe if he stays in the position, but I just think that the cohesion between the back 3, back 5, you know, the way Newcastle performed today, the triggers that they set all over the pitch. You've seen Isak said in the interview after the game, the intensity they pressed that. United couldn't handle it in the first half, and then on the flip side of that, you look at United. It was very slow. The build-up was very laboured, and you couldn't really see the patterns of play forming. And then second half, they gave a little bit more of an intensity. They moved the ball around a little bit quicker, but couldn't really find the killer pass or the killer instinct to go and hurt Newcastle. And it was a really good performance, a solid performance from Newcastle.
You know what a United fan would want me to ask at this point? Why can't they start the game with that intensity that they started the second half with? Why does it take them to go 2-0 down and probably get a few choice words out?
Yeah, very, very good question. I think the best I've seen United this season, the best I've seen them is when they've played in a mid-block and they've almost swallowed the pride a little bit and gone, you know what, we'll sit a little bit deeper, we'll allow the opposition to come on and we'll counter quickly when we win the ball back. And we've got the likes of Garnacho and those types of people who can go and hurt you the other way. You did it against Arsenal in the first half, which I thought they were very good. Okay, they didn't create too many chances, but I thought they were defensively out of possession. They were really good, really well structured, closed the gaps, closed the spaces nice and narrow. And against City, I thought the game plan worked reasonably well. Okay, City are in a bad run of form as well, but you know, when they press high up at the minute, it seems like they're not getting the triggers right, they're not getting the press right, so the distances then become so disjointed all over the pitch that it's very easy to play through the lines and split the lines. And they've not quite nailed that down yet. And listen, it's a work in progress. The manager's made that clear. It's going to be very tough. They're in a really bad run of form. The confidence is lower than a snake's belly at the minute. You can see that, you can sense it around the ground, and somehow, somewhere, somebody's going to have to get a grip of the players, or, you know, one of the players is going to have to, you know, speak up, or something's going to have to be done in the dressing room to try and galvanise this team, because right now they're really suffering and low on confidence.
Well, Newcastle have come through their sticky spell, that is for sure. So we've said 5 consecutive wins in all competitions, and in the Premier League 4 in a row without conceding a goal. A happy Eddie Howe then.
Eddie, quite often in seasons, clubs get chances to make a statement victories. Was that a big statement from your team here tonight?
I don't know about a statement. I think for us, we knew that we needed to try and keep the momentum that we've built in recent weeks. We've had a really good look about us, very confident-looking team, and today I'm just really pleased we're able to do that at a ground that hasn't been kind to Newcastle over the years. So I think it's a big win in that sense, psychologically. Always tough to play here. I thought we played really well in that first half.
What does it tell us about your team that you were able to impose yourself so convincingly on the Old Trafford pitch against this Manchester United team, particularly in that first 20 minutes when you go 2-up?
Yeah, and I think that's the most pleasing thing. I think regardless of where we play, we have to try and be the same team. We have to stick to the same principles. Players were very good technically in that early stage of the game. I thought we dominated, created chances, had a really good look about us. I think at 2-0 the game changes, but really pleased with that opening spell.
Alexander Isak gets you off to the perfect start. You clearly know how good he is. He'd had a difficult start to the season. Is he right at his very best now, in your estimation?
I think he's getting there. I think his goal was, again, really pleasing. He's where he needs to be in the middle of the 6-yard box. It was a great move, a really good cross from Lewis Hall. Really pleased to see him where it matters most and affecting games in the way that only he can. Yeah, as I say, second half was a bit different for him, but he's certainly getting there. I think you know, we believe in him, we believe in his talent. He can really make the difference for us.
You get the second goal, which is crucial, and the second half, as you say, things changed a bit. They bring on Maino in the first half. It changes the momentum of the game. Did we learn also about how tough your team can be?
Well, hopefully. I think we're moving in the right direction defensively. It hasn't always been easy for us this season. We've had chopping and changing early season, but we look to have a solid, settled back line, and I think that's made a big difference. We're going to have to shuffle that now with Fabian suspension, so that's going to be a blow for us, but hopefully we can adjust and still find a way to defend well.
5 straight victories in all competitions. What is the direction of travel in your mind, other than just upwards?
Well, the direction of travel is very much to Tottenham now, and we're going through a spell of really difficult away games. Tottenham and then Arsenal, 2 massive games, but we're trying to enjoy them and approach them like we have this one.
I know you were asked earlier in the week about, is this side better than the team that you took to the Champions League 2 years ago? How would you assess it now, given we're at the halfway point?
I think time will tell. I never like to make bold or rash predictions because we have to prove everything. Certainly there's the talent in the squad to be better than that side, but we have to get the points that matches that team.
Of course, we've got the all-important January transfer window. I know you'll be peppered with questions about it. Is it about, for you, retaining the best players that you have, or is it about adding to this talented squad that you've talked about? Yeah,
I think first thing is retaining the players we have. We don't want to lose anybody. We've got a good balance to the team, a good balance to the squad. You can see the lads that came on the pitch at the end, desperate to play. So we've got everyone fighting for places. We don't want to disturb that.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Yeah, we are at halfway. We know the issues he encountered with having to sell a couple of really talented young players because of FFP, the injuries he's had. So to come through all that and have them in 5th, 3 points off the Champions League at halfway, what about the job so far this season for him?
Very good. I think you know my feelings towards Eddie Howe. I think he's an exceptional manager. I think lots has been thrown at Newcastle in many ways. You know, if you go back a year or two, they were looking so good in the Premier League. They were into the Champions League. They were incredibly exciting to watch. And then, of course, some of the rules, FFP and certain players that had to be sold, and obviously they couldn't buy anybody because they were at that threshold. It almost slowed down their progression. It must be very, very frustrating for fans, for Eddie Howe himself. Of course, then you add to that some disturbances at board level as well. 1 or 2 people have left. Of course, 1 or 2 people went to Manchester United at board level as well. So a lot of disturbances. And he's probably not been able to strengthen the squad as he would have wished, and to build on that really good momentum that he brought to the club. So I think a little bit of the last year it's stagnated or stayed, but for him to be 5th in the league now into a semi-final of the cup, it's really good. And of course he'll be hoping that he can gain that momentum again and start improving his squad.
And try and get a little bit more depth to it. I think that's his point, isn't it? If he does get 2 or 3 key injuries, they haven't got that depth at the moment.
He's done a wonderful job. The form that they're in at the minute, I would go back and say that the start of the season, that the sort of indifferent form they had a couple of good results, then a couple of setbacks. I almost feel like we're very quick to analyse, statistically and look at the game and pick it apart. But I just think they had a lot of players underperforming and not playing to the maximum potential, especially when I've watched Newcastle. And you look at Isak, the form that he's on now, the players around him have started to, get to the top of their level.
Gordon's one of those, isn't he?
Gordon's one of them, and just everyone. I think at this level you can get away with 1 or 2 that aren't quite at it in the game, but the other players can do the business for them. But when there's 3, 4, 5 of them who are underperforming just slightly and just off the top of the game, at this level, it matters and it counts. And, the form that Newcastle are in now is because everybody's performing to the top of the game and they deserve to be there. And
if they keep this momentum steadily, are they right in this Champions League top 4 shout?
Yes, they are. You've got to think Liverpool, Arsenal are 2 pretty much guarantees for the top 4. But I would argue that anybody else, the places are up for grabs. I mean, Nottingham Forest are making a huge play for it. Chelsea just having a wobble at the moment. Aston Villa are obviously looking upwards and hoping they can do it again. And Newcastle, it wasn't so long ago since they were in the Champions League, so they've got a taste of it. They'll want more. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say that 2 places, 3rd and 4th place, are definitely available for teams like Newcastle.
And particularly with the season City are having, goodness knows where they're going to end up. It might be an opportunity, a real opportunity for someone this season.
Definitely. I think there's only really Liverpool that I would watch and think that they don't really look like dropping points. Everyone else has faltered a little bit along the way and has had the peaks and troughs. So, yeah, it's all up for grabs for sure.
Talking of dropping points, Ruben Amorim hasn't, as you said, got any of those of his own players. We don't expect too much January activity. So he's got 5 months here trying to put his blueprint on a squad that aren't his players, that are losing 5 of his first 8 games in charge. How's this conundrum going to get solved?
I know, it's going to be a long-term thing. I mean, who have they got next?
Liverpool
away. Yeah, and then Arsenal is it in the
cup.
In the cup. Doesn't get any easier. What I think needs to happen is he needs to get time on the training ground. This is still quite new. We spoke before the game. Phil spoke about the difference between back 4s and back 3s. Now it can be a real big shift, real big change for players. I think time on the training ground is key. I mean, he mentioned it before the game as well. He hasn't had much time on the training ground. They're learning on the job. They're learning in the full glare of the media, the full glare of millions of people around the world. It's not easy. And then when you do it in front of people and you get beat, and you get beat badly, then all of a sudden it knocks your confidence as well. And you just want to lock yourself away, learn your new roles, have a bit of time on the training ground, gain some confidence, and then come and put it out into practice. But at the moment, as I say, they're washing their dirty linen in public, and it's not an easy thing to do.
And here's another episode of it, because here's the losing manager, the Manchester United boss, Ruben Amorim.
Ruben, what's your verdict on that tonight?
Yeah, a huge disappointment. Obviously, I think we hoped and wished for more.
What do you think was wrong?
Well, what was wrong? I think we yeah, when you go 1-0 down after a few minutes of the game, the first chance they have, then obviously they get a lot of confidence. And I think for us, it looks like every pass was like a misplaced pass, and it felt like every pass was worse than actually was. And that's just the moment we're in. And yeah, I think we're trying to get out of it, but at the moment, even small touches from them is going the other way than us.
In that midfield battle for you this afternoon or this evening as well, how did you feel in that Manchester United midfield? Did you feel outnumbered at times? Because it seemed like in the first half in particular that Newcastle seemed to get the better of you.
Yeah, no, I think we're still adapting to the positions that we're in, and when we have to press and when we shouldn't press. So I still think there's a lot of times in between. Either we have to go, or we have to wait. But that's about the commitment and the possibility to have to read the game and play the game. And yeah, I think it's really just getting used to where we are in our position and when we should press.
Is it getting better in your opinion?
Yeah, feelings-wise, yes. Obviously, looking at it in the game and as a fan, I don't think you're not believing it as much. But as a player, you are getting to know your positions, and from there, when you know your position, and from there, then you have more control of where to go and where not to go, and that's going to help in the long run. But at the moment, it does look like it's worse than it actually is.
How do you move forward from this position? Then you're a hugely experienced player. I mean, what do you need to do to get out of a run like this?
No, nothing like I think we did second half. Work hard, keep our head down, and get out of it. I mean, it's temporary, and it's on us to get out of it. And yeah, new managers come in, new times, and like we just spoke about, new system to get used to. And yeah, in that terms, we're going in one direction. Obviously, we want the 3 points at some point.
Can I ask you about Joshua Zirkzee as well? That seemed a horrible moment for him in the first half. How is he?
Yeah, no, he can keep his head up. I think he might be looking at as a scapegoat, but he's not. I think it could have been everyone. I think first half should have been subbed, and that was not down to him. And then obviously manager took his decision on Josh, but it could have been anyone first half.
Was it to get points tonight, and where did it go wrong exactly?
I think we start the game like some games that we had. We suffered a goal, and then in this moment it's really hard to come back. We try it, but without the quality. They don't have the base of the way we play to cope with really difficult moments, and then they are a better team. They control the game. We had some chances to change the momentum, but like I said, everything they did was like a team. For us was more the moments of the players, and they are trying. Yeah. But they are.
Second half, it's been better. Second half, it's been better compared to the first half. Is that because you brought Mino, or did you change? And did you think during the match that you could have changed something, would have changed the result?
No. So if I think that I could do something to change the result, I will do it. I try it. But like I said, it was more from the players, the belief that they had, less my job of changing something. Because in this moment, we don't have training to do, we don't have the base. When you are in the difficult moment, you need that base to cope with every moment. So they were better than us, plain and simple.
Yeah, 4 defeats in a row is a number. Of course, you will be working hard to avoid the effects of these numbers and to get back to the wins ways. So how do you plan to address this result moving forward?
Training. Just using every minute of the training to try to improve the team, to give them that base to cope with every minute of the game, improve all aspects. That's the way we should work all the time.
Well, that is sorry reading, because at the turn of a year, the lowest Manchester United have been in the Premier League era until this season was 7th, and they're going to be 14th heading into 2025. He's mentioned training 3 times again there, but the question a lot of people are asking, how much training he does. Has he got a group of players that he's inherited there capable of playing the way he wants to play?
Yes, but I think there's certain non-negotiables in football, and that no matter what system or formation you play, there's always principles, and you've got to abide by them and stick by them. Yes, they're going to have to get better, and yes, they will get better, but it will take time, and it's obviously going to take more time than probably the manager thought it would have. He's still obviously weighing up the selection. He's got a lot of headaches before every game, which is the best players to play in what position. You've seen that he's rotated a lot. He's searching for something in the players and trying to find out what fits individuals better than others, and unfortunately he's not got that right balance yet, and it's going to take more time than he thought, probably the fans thought. But I do feel like he's a manager who can take Man United to the next level. He may need 2 or 3 transfer windows to try and amend that, but you know, they're in a real dogfight at the minute. It's really tough for them, and I would always say United is a heavy shirt to wear. It's a heavy shirt to wear, but it's also a very rewarding one as well at the same time. So he's got to find that winning formula somehow from somewhere, and start trying to pick up. And it doesn't get any easier. Liverpool, Arsenal.
No, and the problem is along the way you've got some good players in there, but they're getting damaged so much by what's going on around them. Their confidence is getting zapped every single week they go onto that pitch. So as much as you're probably alluding to, you're right. You know, there are some really average players in that squad that will need weeding out in time. There's probably some good players as well, but we're not seeing it because the whole thing is, as I say, just getting sucked and drained out of them. Their confidence is gone, and as I say, and as he says, you know, it's all about getting onto the training ground and trying to rebuild that.
And given he used the word base twice, do they look a little bit confused still, given the limited time?
Yeah, it's still a shambles in terms of, you know, a base, a foundation is probably another word for what he's looking for. I mean, at some points there, especially in the first half, Newcastle were literally getting at the back and just playing a 20-yard pass, and just literally they were onto the back three of Manchester United. It was incredible. They've got no idea where to stand, how to create a bit of a block whereby the only pass is sideways or backwards. There's just gaps all over the place. They're just not in the right structure yet. And that will take time. It's nothing else but time. But at the moment, it's just so easy to play against Manchester United. It's just wave and wave of attacks.
And continuity, because if you were one of those 3 centre-backs coming in, playing with another 2 guys, you played 2 weeks ago, and there's another 2 fellas next to you. There's no relationships, there's no block building at all, is there?
No, I think the 2 centre-halves in a team are always the pillar, the foundation of a team. You look at the likes of Saliba and Gabriel at Arsenal and how they've blossomed over time on the pitch together, and a relationship that they've built. And, you know, there's going to have to be relationships built on the pitch, but it's really difficult time. As Michael said, it's very easy to play through from the opposition's build up, your 3 or 4 passes, and you're onto the back line of United. So, you know, there needs to be more of a compactness, which the manager talked about before the game. And just, there's got to be more of an endeavour to go and win the ball back, and really focusing on the triggers to go and press. They look so disjointed at times when Højlund goes, and then the wing back arrives late, then the right centre half arrives late. So there needs to be that cohesion on the pitch that we're not seeing, and it's very difficult to get that when you're really low on confidence.
And the problem is they've got nothing going for them at the moment. I mean, defensively, they look in a bit of a mess. They're getting attacked all the time. But then when they go forward, they don't look like scoring either. Højlund looks toothless at the moment, totally devoid of any service, any confidence. Xerxes,
felt for him tonight, didn't you?
Yeah, you felt for him tonight, getting dragged off after half an hour or so. They just don't look like scoring either. It's not like you can hang your hat on anything at the moment. It's all pretty grim. But it will get better. It can't get much worse, can it?